Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, boy, it seems like every week they just go by faster and faster and faster.
No, how are we
the
back
squirrel
here
cage is
already?
going round and round. But what I am liking is it's going to be nice and warm, right? It's going to be supposed to be 100 degrees this week.
Yes.
I'm kind of into that.
I love it when I have kids, well, with kids, because I can kick them out of the house at 8 a.m., like first thing, and I don't have to listen to them. They can go right into the backyard because it's already hot. And then we can spend our day swimming, which exhausts them, and they're in bed by 7 p.m.
That's still a thing? You can put your kids outside?
In the backyard.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, don't call CPS on me,
Gosh. Did they have to call CPS because you put your kids in the backyard?
Oh, they did. Some 12-year-old was in their backyard or something all afternoon, and the neighbor called CPS on the parent.
Oh my God.
Maybe there's more to the story.
You need to get a life, neighbor.
Probably.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Nosy neighbors.
So any news today? Anything?
Oh, we're so excited. We've been working on some wellness initiatives for our staff here. And today we got a Peloton treadmill delivered. So we can walk and work. And there's a perfect spot to set your laptop up on the dashboard of the treadmill. And we were all taking turns on it this morning and checking out all the features. And so you may hear us,
huffing and puffing.
No, we're not going to walk that fast. I mean, if you're typing, you can't really go more than 2 miles an hour. But we'll be getting our steps in, keeping our hearts healthy, hopefully be in a good mood when you call us.
Yep. So we have to keep employees happy, right? You got to keep them. It's a tough market to keep.
It sure is.
Keep employees. So. Welcome to A Place of Possibility, everybody. We are happy to have you. I am Richard Del Monte.
I'm Angela Wright.
And so what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about selling your home. We have had so many people, you talk about the tail lights leaving California. It's been such a hot topic for a couple of years now. And so this episode is specifically targeted at seniors who are downsizing. Maybe you just have too much space in the family home. Maybe you're thinking about moving to assisted living. Maybe you're moving to get closer to your children and grandchildren. So whatever the reason may be, we're so excited to talk about seniors downsizing or moving and all of the things that you need to be thinking about and preparing for and doing that. So to help us have this conversation, we're so excited. We have Dayna Wilson from Keller Williams Realty with us today. I'm going to read her bio. Dayna is a homeowner and longtime real estate investor. For several years, she advised accredited investors, helping them gain access to institutional grade commercial and multifamily assets nationwide. Her combined experiences have given her significant insight into the world of real estate. She brings her enthusiasm, knowledge, and resources to the residential real estate arena. Since 2009, all of her listings have sold on average in less than 30 days.
Whoa.
Right? And closed at 100% or more of the original list price, including the previous buyer's market that we had. She's committed to providing the highest level of service to sellers and buyers for all of their real estate needs. Dayna has lived her entire life in the greater Walnut Creek area. As a Contra Costa County native, she has intimate understanding of the local communities. She focuses her business on representing clients in her own backyard. Dayna accepts new clients only when it is clear that she can benefit their situation. The vast majority of her clients are past, repeat, or introduced by referral. Dayna, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that you're here.
I am just thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for asking me.
Who's that troll, that third person? You got someone in your hip pocket there?
Technical glitch. We're live.
So Dayna, great to have you here. You and I have known each other for many, many years, right? I mean, probably
Richard,
15.
I don't even remember where we met initially, but it was
philanthropic things, I think. I think John Muir. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the first question we have for you is, many people have been in their homes for many, many years, 4 or 5 decades. They've raised their children in their house in many cases. And so then they're thinking about moving to another location. And then that's a big move, right? Obviously, when you've been there for so long. What are the major considerations that people, because you're dealing with these people all the time, what are the things they should be thinking about when they're contemplating a move?
I think this is really the time where you get real about creating a short and a long-term plan. I know people often will call me saying, well, we're thinking about making a move, and yet they haven't taken so many things into consideration. And often, sometimes one spouse has one set of ideas and the other has another, and they haven't even sat down. Right? They haven't come to an agreement on that. So this is the time to plan, and you're going to be thinking about your lifestyle and your healthcare needs, maybe now and in the future. So this step in the process really should take you the longest, because the physical move is almost the easy part. This is the emotional process. It's getting your head around, well, what do we want this next stage of our lives to look like, right? So, I ask that people consider their interests, their financial situation, their location of their family, their friends, their church, their doctors. How do they envision living their best life in this next new chapter?
Got it.
So having a plan is really important. And I suggest that people really consider the fact that successfully aging and living your best life goes far beyond living in a one-level home, right? People so often say, oh, we'll be fine where we are. We have a one-level home. We have a one-story home.
I've totally heard that here in this office.
Yeah, no stairs. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what?
Right.
We are not just physical beings. We have to take into consideration our emotional and our mental well-being.
Absolutely.
And so some of these things, let's just talk about lifestyle. Will I need care assistance? Do I need it now? Do I need it in the future? Or does my spouse? What about transportation? So if one or both of us can't drive anymore, what do our lives look like? How is that going to work? How do we get around? How do we get to the doctors, et cetera? Can I live independently, and for how long? Am I going to stay close to my current home, or am I going to move out of area like you suggested at the beginning of the introduction? And do I even want my family involved? Some people very much want their family involved, and other people don't want the adult children
anywhere near them.
No, anything to do with anything. They want to make their own choices. They don't want their kids telling them what to do.
Interesting.
Yeah, kind of a reverse role there. And then, what kind of activities, amenities do I want to pursue or be involved with or continue to be involved with? And what kind of home do I want? And we'll talk about that, I think, maybe later down the road. The next thing in this planning is financially, where do we stand? And obviously that's where you two come in, right? What's my monthly income now? And will that change in the future? What if my spouse passes away? How does my income change? What are my monthly and annual expenses today? How much will I receive when I sell my home? And will I need assistance getting moved? And then will I need money set aside for in-home care assistance? Yeah. Right. Depending on are we moving in with our kids? Are we moving into an ADU? Are we moving into a smaller home, but we still want care to come in? So the finances are very important. It's an important part of the plan. And then I think, what do I need to do to prepare for the move is another part of this planning. What things, it always comes down to things. What things do I want? Do I need? Yeah. What things bring me joy? What does my family want? And we already know, I hate to say it, that the kids probably don't want your things.
You don't want my china? My wife's china?
I just saw a funny meme, like a grandma standing in front of a china cabinet. Your kids don't want this stuff.
Oh, man, yeah.
Some of it.
Yeah, they may not. So what do I need to give away? What do I need to liquidate? Do I have enough for an estate sale? Am I going to put anything in the storage, which I highly recommend you do not? Who's going to assist me with preparing? What time of year? When do I want to actually make a move? And do I need to consult with a physician before making a move regarding my health care? So sometimes when you're moving into a life plan community or an assisted living community, they do require a doctor's appointment with their own physician. So maybe some things, to prepare for the move. And also, of course, making sure your legal documentation is in order. So those would be some of the things to consider.
Wow. Is there other people that help them through the process of thinking through all these things? I think the vast majority of people they would think about this after they move and thought we should have thought about this. But do you walk them through that? Do you give them a checklist? You do it. Okay.
Right. So part of what I do is, I'll do senior consultations, not just senior consultations, but sometimes it includes the adult children or not. And we sit down and first of all, we talk about, let's talk about what are your goals? What are your desires? What are your wants versus your needs? What have you been thinking about? And we'll talk about the pros and cons and all the options associated with, where they're thinking to move.
Yeah.
How long does it take them to go through this thinking process? In
oh my gosh, that's a really good question. So sometimes I get a call, like literally this happened last month. I got a call from someone. They said, well, we're thinking of moving. And I said, well, great. When would you like to meet? How about tomorrow? So I met with them the next day and they signed the listing agreement and they're ready to rock and roll and move forward. But they've been thinking about this for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So to me, it sounds like, wow, this is very sudden, but no. So I would say on average, it's 6 to 18 months.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So in addition to not talking to their spouse or partner or sort of thinking through some of the emotional aspects of the move, what's the most common mistake that you see somebody make as they're preparing for a move?
I think just failing to have the plan in place and really feeling like they need to do this alone. You do not need to go it alone. There are people like your seniors real estate specialists that have the vetted, seasoned list of service providers and professionals that will completely surround them and support them with all the help they need. And I think people feel like, I just feel like they get moving forward and then they start to realize, wow, in between thinking about what to do with my home, with my things, where I'm going to live, who's going to help me, they become very overwhelmed. Right. So it's a little more, especially if you've, again, lived in your home for decades, it's a little more complex than I think people maybe might remember their last move, which might have been 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah. With kids. Right. Yeah.
Right.
The biggest problem was making sure all the kids were in the station wagon when you moved, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just even think about I'm sitting here thinking about what's in my attic. Like I haven't been to some of those corners in years.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the hoarding, yeah.
And I think a lot of people maybe even were relocated with their company. It was a corporate relocation move where they did everything. They packed up and they moved them and they got them set up the next place. So I just think that people need to know that there are people to help.
Great. Yeah. So when people are thinking about moving, a lot of times they want to move to an entirely different place, right? A different region of the country, another state.
Right now, you hear it all the time.
Yeah,
got to get out of California.
The taillights, they're all going down, Highway 80. You hear all these memes and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it's mostly anecdotal, right? I don't know if it's true. But.
Well, I think we've seen a number of clients move out of state.
We
have lots of friends that talk about, the cost of living in other states and things like that.
Yeah,
it's a common, train of thought around here.
For sure. So how do they come up and decide this is a good move for me? Like, I think a lot of people really don't think about what's the climate like where I'm going. How much snow is there? Am I going to slip and fall down my steep driveway and break my hip or something? Do they have tornadoes? Do they have hurricanes?
Right.
You mentioned
bugs. Yeah, the bugs in Texas. I had a friend move there and she was horrified. Like she just never even considered the bugs she would be going after in her house.
I mean, in California, we get maybe 1 or 2 bugs a night, right? That's all. But it's a whole different game in other states.
Oh yeah.
So what do you recommend to them? How do they decide if it's a good idea?
I've never had bugs come up in my discussions. Okay.
Welcome to Del Monte Grove.
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Cover it all here, Dayna.
I don't even know where to go with that. I will say over half of my clients are moving out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, over half.
Yes. And then I would say the other half, 25% of those are moving to another area of the state. So only about a quarter are staying locally. We'll call it in the Bay Area. Which is
wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
75% are moving away from the Bay Area.
just in my practice. So what's interesting is many, and you probably saw this too, that many folks retired during COVID. And I did just read that in 2021, 40% of retirees who moved relocated outside their home state, which is a big chunk of people.
Yeah.
Where do you see people going in your practice? What states do they go to?
Well, so it's interesting. So in my personal practice, because I work here in the San Francisco East Bay area, I have a lot of clients moving to Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Arizona, and Texas. However, when recently reading something from the Seniors Real Estate Specialist newsletter, they listed the top U.S. cities where retirees and seniors are moving to. And are you ready? I think you'll be surprised what the number one state was. I'm going to let you guess.
I'm going to say Florida.
Oh, I think I know the answer. So I'm going to abstain.
Texas or Florida?
I do know the answer. I'm abstaining.
No?
Tennessee.
What?
Tennessee. So,
wow.
13% of all retirees.
Where are they going? We talked about this last week.
We did. Yeah. So you're cheating. Yeah. It's got the lowest tax burden in the United States.
Really?
Overall.
Wow.
Right. And so guess what? You got to think about how far will your dollars go when you retire. Florida is number 2, Richard. So you were pretty close. Florida for obviously the weather and the activities. Pennsylvania was another.
Interesting.
Wow. Is that a low tax state too?
No, well, reasonably priced housing and affordable health care. And then Virginia, which was surprising to me.
Beautiful.
Virginia is beautiful.
What about international? I mean,
I was going to ask you, where do they go? How many of your clients go international?
Very few. I've had one move to Canada. One wants to move to Spain.
That's not international. That should just be a state. Yeah. Sorry, Canadians. That's horrible, right?
I know.
They disagree.
I know. Sorry about that.
So I know the answer to this one too. We also discussed that last week. Yeah, cut it out.
Yeah, we'll cut that out of the. We'll edit that out.
Okay, what do you think is the country, the most popular country they're going?
I would say Mexico.
So Canada and Mexico are on the list. Number 1 was Panama.
Oh, wow. I do know some guys that live in Panama.
Yeah. I'm hearing more and more people traveling there too.
Isn't that updated infrastructure, easy transportation and the like? Costa Rica, Portugal, and Greece were also on the list.
Portugal, yeah. Portugal's beautiful.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about, so we've talked about the mental preparation and getting yourself ready. What about the physical preparation of your home? What steps should somebody take to prepare their home for sale?
Right. Well, first of all, it depends on the type of move you're going to make. And maybe we talk about that a little farther down the road, but there's a difference between a lifestyle or amenities move and a current care or crisis move.
Okay.
Right. Because if you are in crisis, for instance, I have a couple who the husband became very ill. He was in and out of the hospital. Then he ended up on hospice while she is having major heart issues. They did not have the energy or the financial wherewithal to do anything to prepare their home for sale. Nor am I going to suggest they do so. They are just getting through each day. So it depends on the type of move. And if it's that type of a crisis move, or, Mr. Smith has had surgery and he now cannot go back home for a variety of reasons, then we just suggest we sell it as is.
Okay.
And so there's very little preparation. We might, broom sweep it and market it accordingly. And we would focus on the buyers, a little different set of buyers.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That's going to cost them a few $100,000 to do that, but you can do it, right?
Right. And sometimes I'm covering those fees.
That's the least of their problems.
Right.
Your husband's got a bad heart. You just want to get out. Go.
All right. Well, what about a more ideal scenario where we're planning to, go we're going to Tennessee, honey. Let's do this.
We got
what
time.
do we do to the house? And we got, a few.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. Everything's got to be white.
No.
The kitchens have to be white cabinets, white countertops.
Not anymore.
Do people know there's other colors in the rainbow besides white?
Richard, I've been researching kitchens thanks to my pipe burst. Everything's colorful now and painted.
I hope
you've got rose gold and brass coming back.
Is that true?
It is true.
I look on the what's the
Zillow or whatever.
No, the TV channel.
Oh,
HGTV. Everything has to be white. Seems like. No?
Okay, so what should we do? How do we prepare our home if we know we're going and we have some money to do so?
Well, okay, so there's 3 things that help a home sell in any situation, right? Condition, exposure, and price.
Okay.
So it's up to the seller what condition they want to sell their home in. Some people say, we do not want to be bothered. We're just going to do the least amount we need to. We don't have a lot of budget to do any repairs. And again, we will suggest some of our ready to sell financial programs where they can do whatever they wish, and then it's paid out of escrow. But cool. I'm in charge of exposure. Sellers are in charge of the price and condition.
Okay.
But the first thing to do, I think, always is inspections.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Sellers always say, well, won't the buyers want to do their own set of inspections? Maybe not. Because it's been such a competitive seller's market, what's become very customary standard is that we have all of the sellers' statutory mandatory disclosures completed and available up front. It gives the seller a chance to decide to determine what repairs or replacements they want to do. And typically they can do it for a little less money than if it's in the middle of escrow. Buyers are emotional, emotions are running high, and the buyers want to take a major haircut off of their offer price.
Wow.
Right. So you want to find out if there's anything going on with the home that you really were unaware of. And it's often having to do with leaks that we didn't know about, some leak underneath the house or leak between the bathrooms or something that you just don't know about. Because how often do we go up in the attic or underneath our homes?
Right.
So inspections, I think, are really key. And a buyer would typically do a home, a pest, a roof, a chimney, a sewer lateral, and maybe a soil inspection, depending on if you're on a hill or what. But minimum, I would suggest a pest or a home inspection.
Okay. That's interesting. And that actually happened when I bought my house. We were in the middle of escrow. We did the inspections, and we found that the backyard was graded towards the house, and there was a bunch of rot on the wood around the sliding glass door. So we went back to the seller and we said, well, it's going to cost us $40,000 to regrade the backyard. You need to knock that off the price. And everybody was so ready to get the deal done that they did.
What?
$40,000.
Wow.
Right. Had they put in, a little drain like we did the cheaper fix,
that was a big number on the price of that house.
It was huge. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Right. So, that's
and French drains
real life example of that happening.
Right. French drains are not inexpensive either, but I think
that would have cost them 10 maybe.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Could have cost them less. I always suggest we also open a preliminary title report, and I'll tell you why. Such interesting things show up on title reports that, according to the seller, were long paid off. And often it's like a private loan. I had one gentleman, he was a retired CPA, and he had taken out a private loan from his old boss. Well, he had paid it off decades prior. The company had gone out of business. The gentleman had since passed away. There was no paper trail to prove that he'd paid off this lien.
Wow.
Now, the title company needs the time to possibly have the seller, they have to buy a bond that protects everyone from that lien. In this case, my escrow officer did an amazing job, and they tracked down the paper trail in Shasta County. And it was from 30 plus years ago. But that's why we like to have that taken care of, looked at, make sure there's no surprises. Because again, you don't want that slowing down escrow.
Yeah.
When you've got a couple days left and they still haven't rectified this issue, they can't transfer title to the new buyer.
Yeah. We just had this happen with a client here at our practice as well. There was, somebody who was like, suddenly this name popped up, like, who's this? And, they had to track this person down and jump through all these hoops, and it delayed their escrow, I think, about a week or something.
Yeah.
Another thing is the natural hazards report. And this has become very important too, because there's no other way for anyone to know if a property is in a high or very high fire hazard zone. And now there's a number of new forms through the California Association of Realtors having to do with fire and fire hazard.
Too little, too late for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So sometimes, like if you're in Moraga or Rinda, they have their own fire district, and they have very specific ordinances that have to be cleared. And I won't even get into the details, but that can be weeks of dealing with that. Or if you're in Alameda, you've got, you have other certain requirements as far as there's sidewalk ordinances, there's automatic earthquake, gas shutoff valves.
Yeah.
So some of these things need to be taken care of well before you list your home.
Yeah.
Good call.
A lot of people ask us, should I buy first, sell first, do it all at the same time? And if I'm going to buy first, how do I even do that financially? What do you recommend?
If at all possible, we always recommend, especially for our senior clients, that if there's any way, it will be so much less stressful, less disruptive and upsetting if they move first, get all settled, and then we're left with a home to sell. Because I think they forget that when their home goes on the market, there'll be agents calling to show the home at all hours of the day and evening. So they're used to getting their jammies on and their fuzzy slippers and watching their favorite Netflix show at 7:00. And that's when the buyer's agent wants to show the cute little family from San Francisco that doesn't get off work until 6:30, that has to take Bart out here, that won't be there till 7:30, that'll want to stay around for 45 minutes. You've got to leave the house so that they can speak freely. It's very disruptive.
Hey, I'm confused though, Dayna. I mean, I thought if I put my house on the market at 3:00, by 3:30, it'd be sold. Isn't that the way it works? I really have to miss my show.
And you really don't have to miss your show. I mean, you can certainly put in the hours of showings for sure, but you want to be as most accessible as possible, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. And then some seniors, especially of a certain generation, are a little bit more private than this generation is. Everything now for millennials is online and on social media, and everybody shares everything, way too much sharing, if you ask me. But but buyers are going to be looking in your drawers, in your closets. Like that's a very personal.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't want to see my junk drawer.
A little invasive. Right.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the inspectors, the appraisers, the final walkthrough, repairmen. There's a lot of people coming and going. And do you really want to deal with that? Maybe, maybe not.
Wow.
Right. Good points.
Yeah.
So this might be a little self-serving. It might seem like that, but I know you can answer it, in a objective manner. How do people pick a realtor? I mean, what are the most important factors that I know the factors that they typically will go with is like, who do we like? But I mean, I'm sure there's a whole variety of, that's like our business, right? The level of services people provide and stuff.
Different expertise. Yeah.
The level of expertise, the specialty, like you have a niche market, with savvy seniors. I mean, what should they be looking for, honestly?
That's a good question. Right. And it's cute because some people, when I get, a client saying, yes, we want to work with you, I would say, that's so wonderful. I'm so excited to get to work. Thank you for hiring me. Out of curiosity, why was I chosen?
Yeah.
And, they say what you just said, well, we like you the best, which I think is lovely. But I'll say, well, I love that, but hopefully you do understand that blah, 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 blah. And so part of that blah, blah, blah is, what is the track record, right? Do they have experience with handling later in life moves, which are very different from your typical normal move and require knowledge of detailed timelines and the right vendors to help with the right things. There's additional steps involved. Sometimes we're dealing with a very tight timeline with someone moving into, let's say, a senior community where they've failed to take into consideration that they want their home sold by this date, but yet the unit in the community is not available until this date. Well, we've got to help coordinate all that so that it's as smooth as possible and they're only moving one time. Does that realtor have the support team and the staff to answer questions on a timely basis? Do they have an advocacy mindset? Are they willing to sit down and really have a conversation and listen to what's important to that person and what their concerns are and have solutions and answers for those? They're almost like a first-time home buyer, right? A first-time home buyer comes to me and their eyes are this big as saucers, and they've never bought a home and they're worried and they're nervous and they just say, Dayna, hold our hand and just tell us what to do and walk us through this. Well, it's very similar to someone that has not sold a home in maybe 30, 40, 50 years. Their eyes are as big as saucers. And they're saying, Dayna, it's been so long and things are so different. And we don't have the same level of physical energy or our health is not the same. And hold our hands and tell us how this all works, please. So, I think thinking about that kind of a realtor level of attentiveness, experience with the current market. I mean, I've had some people say, well, we love you, Dayna, but we really feel like maybe we should work with our nephew. He's brand new and we want to give him a shot.
Okay.
And I love
that's
that.
a tough one.
I love that.
And that happens. Right.
They may not be the right support that they need for this type of a move. And even though the seniors don't maybe embrace technology, your agent certainly does. So your agent needs to have all the different, technological tools and systems available, because that's where the buyers are going to be finding their listing, right?
Yeah.
And track record, and what is their list oversold percentage, days on market, and how does that compare to the others in the MLS? So I think that's very important to know who's selling your home, because it's usually your most expensive and important and valuable asset.
How does a consumer actually get that information?
That's a great question.
That would be their realtor. And
just ask directly.
I can print a report right off of the MLS.
Okay. Awesome.
Oh, no kidding.
So you could ask could you please print this list oversold report for me?
Right.
What's the list called?
Well, you have to be a realtor to access these reports in statistical reporting in the multiple listing. Mm-hmm.
But what do they ask for? What report would a consumer ask for?
List oversold.
Is that what it is? List oversold? Okay.
Oh, there's about 25 different reports.
Okay.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk turkey a little bit? How much should someone expect to pay a commission to a realtor? And are there any other costs involved as a seller? Like when I'm calculating how much money I'm making off of this house, what am I deducting?
Oh, wow. As a seller, you will have some fees. You will have some escrow and title fees, but they're minimal compared to the buyer's escrow and title fees. Mm-hmm. I think as a buyer, your largest fees are escrow title, which go into the thousands. And then as a seller, it's those pesky realtor fees that are the highest.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk of change. I think people need to remember there are typical fees involved. There's some discount brokers that will offer less, but you will be getting discount services. Just bottom line.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's like it's like financial advisors or your attorney. Your attorney, your CPA, your financial advisor, your realtor. Is that really where you want to try to skimp and save money and work with someone that isn't as experienced or isn't the best at what they do?
I really want to work with the discount heart surgeons, though. I'm telling you, I really want that.
I mean, usually we'll calculate off like 3 to 6% for realtor fees. Is that still about right?
Yes, I think typical, remember, sellers are typically paying the overall fees, and average fees are, I say, 5 to 7%.
5 to 7 now. Okay.
I've charged as high as 4% on my side, because part of those fees included paying for things that the seller did not have a penny to pay for.
Oh, so you can go above 3 and 3?
It's completely negotiable.
Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was just like 6 was some kind of statutory maximum or something.
Yeah. No,
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Yes. And so, and the splits between the buyer's broker and the listing broker can be different. So it doesn't have to be 3 and 3 or 2.5.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had one client where they were very ill and they were very, very poor. And they had a huge half-acre lot filled with trucks and backhoes and boats and trailers and sheds. And it all had to be hauled away. And the hauling fee alone came up to almost $4,000. Wow. So, and some of the fees include, I include in my services staging every single time. And you had asked.
I would think so, yeah.
You'd asked what other things you can do to prepare your home. We didn't even talk about a thorough cleaning, staging, professional photography, curb appeal, all those things.
Drone photography, going through the house and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
How much does it cost to stage a house?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I know they're different size houses, but
depends on the size, but
sure.
Let's see. Maybe a condo might be as low as $3,800. And I think I have spent almost $8,000 on a really large home. And that just comes out of my pocket.
Yeah.
But staged homes statistically sell for more money and in a shorter amount of time. And we know that time on market does impact the price you're going to net.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
People don't want to see the pictures of you and your kids and stuff on the walls. It makes it feel like the house is not theirs, right? I would think.
No,
it's hard, as a buyer to look past. I have to force myself to look past the staging sometimes. Look at the windows, look at the molding. Like, oh, cute couch. I would put the living room. It's so easy to see that.
Yeah.
I think people need a little help with the vision of okay. Men walk into the house, and I'm going to have you answer this. What do the males ask first? What do they want to know, Richard?
About the house?
Yes.
I guess square feet. How many bedrooms? No, not that.
Typically,
is it the bathroom or the garage?
No, typically the males, the first question they say is, where's my TV going to go?
Oh, good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't really watch much TV, unfortunately.
Where's my 80-inch?
Yeah.
They need the wall for the 80-inch TV.
I got it. Yeah, for sure. That would be my man cave. Okay.
And the women go straight to the kitchen. I mean, I'm generalizing, but seriously, this is almost true. Yeah. So in staging, again, you can draw the eye to a feature that's really one of the best features of the room, or you can try to draw the eye away from a feature that's not as beautiful, maybe, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So that's all part of it. Plus, the photos online show so much better. You get a perspective as to, okay, if that couch is a typical couch size, then this room is actually quite large, and it just kind of shows the flow and the best use of each space.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, so we really appreciate you being here. Do we have any questions from the audience? I think I saw one that I captured. Anything else?
No, yeah. So are we still in a seller's market?
Yeah, that was there's actually two. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So first one, are we still in a seller's market? We've been in one for quite a while. What's your get out your crystal ball and what's your forecast?
Yeah. Today, I mean, all we know is today. If anyone tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen in 6 months from now, I want their crystal ball, because we really don't know. What we do know is, yes, we're still in a seller's market. What we do know is, we being realtors in general and this market in general, and even across the United States, We're starting to see price reductions. We're starting to see more inventory because interest rates are going up. Inflation is still going up. And so I think things will start to balance out a little bit and be less crazy. 2 years ago, I received 40 offers on a listing. We're not seeing that anymore. We're still seeing maybe 2 or 3 or 5 or 6. We're not seeing 20 and 30.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having the market go back to equilibrium, right? I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing because affordability around here has gotten ridiculous.
Yeah. People should have take a minute to decide which of these houses you want, not running and, making bids as fast as you can. And,
especially you're buying a home that's like $1 million or $2 million. You need more than 10 minutes to make that decision.
Exactly. I mean, it's insanity. Yeah. Right. The second question we have is, about people, the common thing people think is that seniors will sell their homes and then they quote downsize to a smaller house. But then I've been reading in the Wall Street Journal that people are actually not liking. They downsize and they find out, I need a little more room. I want to have my space away from my spouse and, do my thing and whatever. So then they end up buying houses that are actually bigger than the ones that they sold, but maybe in the location that they want to be. What are you seeing? Do you see any of that? How does it look from your perspective?
I've seen both. I will say typically the vast majority are buying less of a home. And the reason is that they're moving and they're doing this right sizing move because they don't want the house maintenance. They don't want the yard maintenance. They just want an easier to maintain, more affordable level of living.
Okay.
I had one couple move to Utah and they bought a huge home, much larger than they have here, right outside of Park City. I had another couple, same thing in Reno. They bought up in the beautiful hills on the way over to Incline from Reno, much larger house with views. But I'd say most people are downsizing, getting a little smaller home because the kids are gone, right? The kids are gone. Yeah. And maybe they have an extra room for the grandkids or visitors, but
my kids keep coming back and they stay. So I need more bedrooms than I ever had. Before,
they keep multiplying.
Yeah, it's true. Dayna, thank you. Dayna Wilson, thank you so much for being with us today. Stay with us after. Don't go anywhere, okay? We want to talk to you after the show's over. But thank you so much. It was really enlightening. I mean, some of the things are fascinating, right? It was really great. So thank you so much.
So I appreciated it. I enjoyed it too. Always great to talk to you too.
Great. We'll come back to you from the green room.
Thanks, Dayna. Dayna's contact information was on the screen there. You can find it in the show description, as well as notes from today's show.
Yep.
What an awesome.
Really good.
Awesome show. Fun things to be thinking about mostly. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And if you have any questions or a topic request, please feel free to email us at info@aplaceofpossibility.com. If you'd like to book a consultation appointment with one or both of us, you can do so using the link on your screen or in the show description or on our website. We, as always, have our book, Endless Inheritance, available for you. If you make a request, we'll send you a free copy. And then, of course, as I said, show notes are available. If you had any questions about the topic today, you can reach out to Dayna or to us. We'd be happy to help.
Love to talk to you. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you so much for being here with us again on this podcast. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks. And remember, you're invested and so are we. Thank you so much. We'll see you.